Hello dear learners, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is again an on-demand video wherein we are going to look at how to create a jar file in Eclipse and how to use it as a library in some another project. Now this is going to be really helpful when you become a developer, because as a developer when we develop projects, there are various different teams that work on that particular project. When each team has its own mini project, or you can say a sub-project, which deals with a particular set of problems. Once those set of code is developed, they can build a complete jar out of it, of whatever set of projects or packages that they have inside their project, and give it as a jar file to another team, which can accommodate that particular jar file in their code and make it a part of the whole project. So it becomes really very compatible, or you can say portable, for the whole project to go from one part of the project to another using these jar files, because then it becomes as a whole package in itself and you can use it in another project easily. So let's get started. So for creating a particular jar file in Eclipse, the system is really simple because Eclipse provides you with a lot of tools with which you can do it. Now for creating projects, again there could be two ways in which you can do it. One, you can create the whole project. Let's say I have the shape project. People who have been following me through videos knows they are aware of this particular shape project, which has different classes into it. So one option is you can export the whole project as a jar file, or you can export specific packages. Like here, if you see in this particular shape project, I have a lot of test classes. So as a individual team, I could develop a whole project which has a lot of logic classes, or you can say packages which contain my logic classes, like circle, square, rectangle that I have here, isosceles, triangle, which actually contain my logic. And there is also a test project here which contains my test logic. I would not want the test packages to go inside the jar file. So I have a choice. So in case if I don't have the test classes here, what I can do is I can export the whole project as a jar file and give it to the other team. In case if I have test packages like this which contains my various test classes, I can skip this particular. So today in this particular video, we'll see how to export just specific packages. Like here I have two packages, shapes and shapes.triangular, and I'll be exporting only these two packages into a jar file. And then I'll have this jar test class which will use those particular classes which are inside the jar that I have created. So for exporting only these two packages, what I'll do is I'll select these two packages. You can see I have selected both the packages. Right click, and I have an option which says export. Okay, so I'll say export, and here you will have various options like this, out of which you need to go to the Java option which has jar file as an option. So you need to select that. Java jar file is what you need to select. Then say next, and you can name this whatever that you want. I have been let's say I want to name it as shapes.jar, and you can select the path. So here let's say I want to go to a particular folder which is my learnings folder and name this as shapes.jar. So I can just say shapes and this creates my jar file. Again, this is a convention that whenever you're naming jar files, you generally name it as lowercase names. Like here you can see shapes is in lowercase. So whenever you're naming jar files, you name them in lower case. So you can see this is shapes.jar, and now there are various options, whatever you want to export. So you can export the generated class file and resources. You can also, now this is optional, all these are optional things. So you want, you may not also. So here this particular option is a very interesting option wherein you can export even the source files of your code if you want. Again, this is optional. You want, you may skip this, but if you export the source files, you can see the code. But then some in some cases this might not be safe to export the source files also, because then it would expose your code also. So if you're giving it to some really external team or to some another team, you may not select this particular option because this will even expose your source files. You may just give the generated class files and resources. But here we will also export the source files because I want to show you how the source files will look like. So we do this, and this is another option that you can compress your contents of the jar file so that they are not taking too much space, and you can say finish. Now this gives you a warning. You can just ignore this and say OK, because that's fine. Once this is done, you can see in that particular folder you will be able to see that the files are gone. So if you go to computer, D, Kosha, others, and learning, you can see here a shapes.jar is created. Okay. Now what we'll do here is, in this particular test jar, if I want to use this particular jar, I need to right click in my code. Now this is the steps of how to access that particular jar file which is being created in your project. So let's say some other team has given you a jar file, how to use it in your code. So you can just go to right click in your project, go to properties. Here there is an option that says Java build path. You need to go to Java build path. There are various options. You need to go to libraries. Here there is a button that says add external jars. So you can add that external jar to your code, and you can see here in that D, Kosha, others, learning, this shapes.jar is there which we just created. You can say open. So this becomes a part of your project. You can say apply and close, and you can see here in reference libraries you have shapes.jar. Now let's create a test class to use this particular shapes that I have. So I'll say com.learning.test jar, and I'll name this as jar test class. You can name it as whatever you want. I'm just naming it for this sequence here. And here I'll select main because this is going to be a test class, so I'll need main. And what we can do here is that if you can see here in the shapes jar, there are various classes which have got included. I'll select the circle class here, which has various methods which I can use. You can see I have calculate circumference, calculate area. I have the static method which we had created in the previous video. If in case you've not seen that video, you can check that out here. I'll share the link here, wherein we had created the static method. We were learning how to use the static keyword in various parts, so you can check that out here. And I also share in the description box. Anyways, I share all my previous videos in the description box, so you can see that. So what we'll do here is, we will say circle C is equals to circle. Now I'll call the static method that I had created to get circle, and I'll pass the radius as 12 and a semicolon, and then you can say sys out. I'll call the various methods. C dot calculate area is what I'm calling, and I'm calling sys out C dot calculate circumference. So you can see I can easily use those methods. One more thing that you should notice, it is importing the circle class, and it is showing the packages com.learning.shapes and circle. So it is working like as if it's some local code that you have in your project itself. So here is the jar file and the various classes that I have inside it. Let's try to run this particular code. So you can see it is showing me the various, this is what the static block that we had created in the previous video, that is getting called, and then the the area of circle is getting calculated, and the circumference of the circle is getting calculated. So you can see this whole thing is shown. So this is how you basically create a jar file and use it into a different package through Eclipse. In case if you have any questions, please mention them in the comment section below. Please like my videos if you like my content, and share it with your family and friends. Please subscribe to my channel so that you can keep getting such interesting videos also in future. This is it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.